If you knew Jesus was going to show up in person somewhere nearby, would you go visit him? Well, did you know that that's really possible right now? Jesus said, visit prisoners. Good morning and welcome to 755 Live. For about 5 minutes, you'll hear all about easy to remember soundbite versions of what Jesus said. And the point is to help you experience life to the fullest the Jesus way. Today's Jesus Said comes from Matthew 25, verses 35 through 36, and we'll be reading from the NET translation this morning, where Jesus said, "For I was hungry, and you gave me food. I was thirsty, and you gave me something to drink. I was a stranger, and you invited me in. I was naked, and you gave me clothing. I was sick, and you took care of me. I was in prison, and you visited me." Now, honestly, this passage in Matthew 25 inspires several of these Jesus Saids, today's visit prisoners. And every time that I read Matthew 25 or the Jesus Said devotions or whatever you want to call them, every time I get a little bit more convicted, because this is part of the eternal pop quiz that Jesus gives in Matthew 25. And he's talking a lot about the end times, which of course a lot of people are concerned about right now with all the craziness in the world. And Jesus explained that at the very end of everything, people will be separated into two groups, two different eternal destinies. It's either heaven or hell. And he uses the analogy of dividing sheep from goats. And what's the difference? Well, the pop quiz at this day of judgment is all about how you treat the least of these: the hungry, the poor, the outcast, the stranger, literally immigrants, and even prisoners. Now, that's not a pop quiz that you want to fail, because there's no makeup test. And it really shouldn't be a surprise that Jesus said that we should be focused on these things, because he started his ministry by reading this, quoting from Isaiah in Luke 4:17 through 21. "And the scroll of the prophet Isaiah was given to him. He unrolled the scroll and found the place where it was written, 'The Spirit of the Lord is upon me, because he has anointed me to proclaim good news to the poor. He has sent me to proclaim release to the captives and the regaining of sight to the blind, to set free those who are oppressed, to proclaim the year of the Lord's favor.'" Then he rolled up the scroll, gave it back to the attendant, and sat down. And the eyes of everyone in the synagogue were fixed on him. And then he began to tell them, "Today, this scripture has been fulfilled, even as you heard it being read." So let's talk about that. This is how Jesus started his ministry and how he lived his life as our example. So let me ask you this. Would you go see Jesus in person? Just think about it. If you knew Jesus was going to show up in your home, in your town today, would you show up? What if your eternal destiny depended on it? Well, reading on in Matthew 25, verses 37 through 40, Jesus made it clear that those who pass this eternal test by helping and visiting the least of these were actually doing it for Jesus. He said, "And you visited me," or "you did it for me." And just the opposite was true of the goats who failed the test. You didn't do those things literally for Jesus himself. And I can just imagine on Judgment Day, there's probably going to be a lot of, "Whoa, did you see who I voted for? Did you see all the rules that I kept? Did you see how many times I went to church?" And he's going to say, "I never knew you. You failed the test." You see, Jesus said, visit prisoners. Now, not everyone is called to visit people in jails. This isn't a rule as much as it is a principle. And there are a lot of different kinds of prisons in our world today: loneliness, poverty, oppression, sickness. You want to see Jesus? Go visit prisoners. Reach out to the least of these. That's what Jesus said. How can you put that into action today? Thank you so much for listening. If this is meaningful to you, it does mean a lot when you like it, when you share it, when you comment. I really appreciate you. I hope that you have an amazing day. And I hope this time together has helped you live life to the fullest, the Jesus way. And remember, follow Jesus today. Love first.